It may come as a great surprise to many in crypto, but it turns out the most important future question in crypto might be the same as the movie The Hangover. But did you die? The number one priority for a blockchain is don't die. I'm not talking about the blockchain ceasing to exist. I know at this point we've got guys like, I'll run the blockchain from my submarine at the bottom of the Marianas Trench. Crypto forever. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a regulatory death. While Cardano seems to have predicted and heeded all of the warning signs, many of our biggest competitors have seemed oblivious to the obvious writing on the wall, like freight trains heading toward a bridge that was never completed. Ready? Let's go. Today, we're going to discuss the White House press release on climate, energy, and crypto, Virtua with a special event going down today, Reach Metaverse making a big transition, AdaWell with a very good point regarding VC money in Cardano, and a new opening in Carta Station. If your first thought when you saw this image was, actually, I'm perfectly happy to avoid this place where crooked black arrows fall out of the sky and impel you, or if you're finding value in these videos each weekday, please consider delegating to the Army of Spies stake pool, ticker AOS. Speaking of the stake pool, I have to ask a serious favor. You might have seen this thread today from MuesliSwap. As our version 2 draws nearer, we are preparing the final details. When yield farming rolls around, users will be able to earn double and triple yield, meaning their ADA will be staked. But MuesliSwap, where will it be staked? Excellent question. We want you to decide this. A few days ago, we asked the community who the best SPOs are. And as incredibly difficult as it was to make a short list, we have selected 10 pools for you to vote and decide which stake pool will be the one we work with. And lo and behold, the Army of Spies stake pool actually made the list. This was kind of a big shock to me. Pretty big surprise. I didn't expect this at all. And I saw that they had this little thread earlier where they're kind of asking people about different stake pools, but I didn't have any idea what this was for. So I was pretty surprised when I found out that we were actually on this list. So the big favor I'm getting to is this. MuesliSwap says the voting will start tomorrow. This was yesterday. They said this as you watch this video. It'll actually be today that the voting starts. The day you're watching this is the day the voting starts. The voting will last for 4 days, and it will happen on MuesliSwap's governance forum, gov.muesliswap.com. That's gov.muesliswap.com. When you come over here to the MuesliSwap governance forums, they've actually got some pretty interesting discussions going on. Milk token utility, snow token utility, which is something I've wondered about on the channel for quite a while, lending protocol discussions, staking reward discussions, Hungry Cow second utility discussions, and of course, this SPO vote. I actually went through the sign-up procedure today. It's pretty simple. Username, password, email address. Then they send you an email. You click on to prove that's really your email, and that's pretty much it. You could probably speed run it in 60 seconds, 90 seconds, something like that. Super easy, simple. So if you've got a few seconds today, I would really, really appreciate it if you would come over here and vote for the Army of Spies stake pool. I actually have no idea what winning would entail, but it seems like something that could help me make this channel sustainable. First up, I want to offer my condolences to the subjects of the United Kingdom. Today, the only monarch of that realm that most of us have ever known has passed away. Moving from the UK to the US, here it is, guys. It's been so obvious for so long that this was coming. The writing was on the wall. The attack vector that was going to be used against proof-of-work blockchains like Bitcoin was going to be climate change and energy use. They've been talking about it forever. It was super obvious. How are they going to deal with Bitcoin? By talking about climate change and misuse of energy. And they've formulated some pretty good talking points in here. It starts out, reasonable enough. Crypto assets can be very energy intensive, and the United States has a major crypto asset sector. Both kind of true. I mean, crypto mining, for instance, definitely uses a lot of electricity, and the US does have a lot of the Bitcoin mining, for instance, since They all got kicked out of China. But after that, it gets a little bit more specific. They say as of August 2022, Bitcoin has 60 to 77% of total global crypto asset electricity usage, and Ethereum accounts for 20 to 39%. So between Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're talking about 80% of the crypto energy use. On the low end, on the high bound of the range, it's over 100%. the way their numbers are working out, over 100%. So the vast majority of this is Bitcoin and Ethereum. And we all know once Ethereum completes the merge, they'll move to proof of stake. So their 20 to 39% will go away. And of course, the way these numbers are working, the Bitcoin share of this total crypto electricity usage will only go up. So it's pretty clear that Bitcoin is the one in the crosshairs here. And I think Charles made some good points when he covered this today in the video he released today. It's super obvious that there's an agenda here. We must deal with crypto. And of course, the first target on the list, first priority, is the biggest blockchain, Bitcoin. And the really obvious attack vector is the energy use, the climate change thing. And their talking points on this are really good. So they talk about the actual amount of energy used by these proof of work blockchains in terms of billion kilowatt hours per year. And then they give you some comparisons. They say this range of electricity usage is similar to all home computers or residential lighting in the United States. So think about that. They're saying the proof of work networks, I mean, all of crypto, but it's mainly the proof of work networks, are using up the same amount of energy as all home computers in the US or all residential lighting. Every single light bulb in every single house, apartment, condo, townhome, whatever in the United States, it's using that much energy. Just that alone is politically untenable. The White House just needs to make sure all the legislators know about this. And it's going to be very difficult for them to oppose restriction on this level of energy usage. This is going to be a very potent talking point. Hey, do you want to let these crypto guys use the same amount of energy as all residential lighting in the United States? It's going to be very hard for any policymaker to oppose that. They also let you know the range of carbon emissions due to this energy use is similar to emissions from diesel fuel used in railroads in the United States. So I believe what they're saying here is if you take all railroads in the United States, the amount of the emissions from the diesel fuel being used by all those railroads is equivalent to the emissions that they can attribute to crypto. Again, this is super untenable. No policymaker is going to say, actually, I think that's appropriate. Let's definitely let these crypto guys use the same amount of electricity as all residential lighting, as all the railroads in terms of emissions. No policymaker is going to be able to stand up and say, actually, I'm good with that. If we come down here to the key recommendations of the report, we see the main thrust of this whole thing. Here's the recommendation. The Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, and the Department of Energy should develop effective evidence-based environmental performance standards for the responsible design, development, and use of environmentally responsible crypto asset technologies. So they're even questioning the design of these crypto asset technologies. They're going to question whether the design of Bitcoin is environmentally responsible. And they're pretty much telling you already they think it's not. They're going to put this in the hands of the EPA. The EPA is going to go around, along with the Department of Energy, is going to go around to all the mining operations and say, hey, we don't think the design of Bitcoin mining is environmentally responsible. This is a great end around. This is a great way for the White House administration to deal with proof of work. The problem with this is how they deal with proof of work. It'll be a different attack vector on proof of stake. Charles made this point very, very well in the video he put out today. But with proof of stake, it's going to be something else. Maybe securities regulations, something like that. But with proof of work, they're just going to attack the energy angle because that's the only thing they can attack. But it's the same question we always have with crypto regulation and really regulation in general. Are you actually doing anything that creates a better situation, or are you just driving an industry offshore? Are you stifling innovation? I think in this case, attacking the energy use of the mining operations of Bitcoin, even though it was really predictable, very obvious from the rhetoric coming out of Washington that this was what they were going to do, even though it was really predictable, I don't think it's really going to change anything. All the mining was in China previously. It came to the US because China's regulations stifled that industry in China, and it came to the US. Now, the US wants to clamp down using this climate change angle. They'll just drive it elsewhere now as well. And, they'll probably convince the EU. I mean, they've already convinced the EU. The EU's already convinced itself to pass similar regulations. The same kinds of regulations are going to come about in the EU. They're already in process. And we'll see the EU and North America clamp down, and the Bitcoin mining will just go offshore. It'll just go elsewhere, and business will continue as usual. The real question, though, is what if it goes beyond that? What if it goes beyond regulating just the mining side of things? What if eventually they get to the point where they say, hey, all of you centralized exchanges using fiat on-ramps like ACH, which the Fed controls, what if we say that any Fed member bank can't provide banking services to you centralized exchanges if you're allowing the trading of these proof of work crypto assets that are causing these environmental problems? What if they try to pass some regulations like that? What if all of a sudden all the banks providing these ACH services to the Coinbases and the Binances of the world, what if those banks say, yep, no US member bank can provide those services to you anymore if you're trading in these cryptocurrencies that we find to be environmentally problematic? If no one in Europe or North America was allowed to buy Bitcoin with fiat, I mean, the blockchain would continue to exist. People would continue running the blockchain from their off-grid cabins or whatever their plan is. But it would be a pretty substantial change for Bitcoin. Like I said, I mean, this isn't a great precedent for the rest of crypto, even the proof of stake projects, because there's just going to be a different attack vector for proof of stake. For instance, if they started with the biggest blockchain, Bitcoin, the next target would be Ethereum. And I think there's a pretty easy regulatory attack vector on Ethereum. I could see banking regulators coming along and saying, hey, Ethereum stake pools, you guys are taking custody of user assets and providing them with a yield, a return. That sounds like banking to us. And none of you have banking licenses. So unless JP Morgan Chase is going to run all of the validators, I don't think you guys can be validating the blockchain like this. Luckily in Cardano, we wouldn't have those same problems because the stake pools don't take custody of the user funds, the delegator funds. Do you think the Charles and Company weren't thinking about regulatory pressure when they made those decisions, when they were architecting the Cardano staking system? Charles is always thinking about regulatory liability. Why do you think we see so many comments from Charles lately about how he wasn't able to force the Vossel fork, that the validators kind of rebelled and demanded more testing time? He's laying the groundwork. He's laying the paper trail to show that Cardano is already sufficiently decentralized. He's thinking about things like securities liability. He's already laying the groundwork to defend Cardano against, what could be a future securities regulation challenge. The same kind of report as this. We could see a report coming out that's not about climate change, not about energy use. It's about crypto and securities regulation. Just another reason I'm glad I'm in the ecosystem of a blockchain where the founders are thinking 3 steps ahead. Virtua has a big event going down today. You may or may not know that Kevin Hart is basically the biggest comedian in the world. This dude fills stadiums. He may be the biggest comedian in the entire world, and Virtua is having an event tonight with Kevin Hart. They say it's happening tomorrow. That'll be today, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard. We welcome the comedy legend Kevin Hart into the Metaverse. Owners of this NFT will get exclusive access to his Metaverse screening room. Obviously, Cardano Island is only one part of Virtua, but I'm glad to have a metaverse project in our ecosystem that is thinking this big already. Man, Reach Metaverse is truly the dark horse candidate among Cardano metaverse projects. They are so tight-lipped. Reach Metaverse, as I am recording, only has 674 followers on Twitter. And I feel like we know so little about Reach Metaverse. It's kind of mind-blowing given how far advanced their virtual worlds are. I mean, if you think about the virtual worlds where the big projects where you can actually be inside their metaverse and walk around and have an enjoyable experience. Among the bigger projects, there might be some smaller projects, but among the bigger ones, it's kind of a list of two that I can think of: Cardistation and Reach Metaverse. Those are the only two where you can currently walk around and have an interesting experience that I know of. And we know so little about Reach Metaverse. I mean, even this post, we are officially making the transition from Reach Metaverse V1 to Reach Explorer V2. And then the rest of the post is just an apology over any, non-smooth transition you might experience as a user. Sorry for the inconvenience. These guys are so tight-lipped. I think they're truly following the sort of heads down, build, talk about it later strategy. It's going to be really interesting to watch this unfold as we learn more about this metaverse project. Switching gears a little bit, Cardano Well made a really, really good point today. So he got the question, serious question: why are no VCs interested in working with on Cardano and the ecosystem? His response: oh, they are here. Don't worry about it. And he shows you a list from a couple of Cardano projects who have rows and rows of VCs funding their project. I think he makes a good point. People, this is a continuation of the theme of Cardano being Cardano's own worst critic. It's not even really Cardano. It's the Cardano community being self-critical. Being self-critical is a very charming thing. Like, I think like Lex Friedman is a very self-critical guy, self-admittedly. I think he admits himself that he's very self-critical, and it's kind of charming to watch him being so critical of himself. But when you're a gigantic blockchain ecosystem, when you're one of the biggest blockchains in the world, you kind of have to be, you kind of have to promote yourself a little bit as the community. The community has to promote itself. And this is a case where we hear this over and over again. VCs don't invest in Cardano. It's just not true. Here are two projects. These are two projects. Look at how many VCs are involved. All kinds of venture capital money is already in Cardano. Finally, speaking of Cardistation, it looks like their community hub is open, and I'm kind of excited to explore this. I think everybody knows I'm excited for Cardano metaverse projects, and we've got two that are kind of explorable right now. We've got Cardistation and we've got Reach Metaverse. So the community hub is pretty interesting to me. I'm curious to see the ways in which people actually use a facility in a metaverse like this. Will it be a ghost town that never gets used? Will it be constantly used? What activities will take place there? I have a lot of questions about how this actually works out in practice, and I think we're about to see those go down. They've also got Ready Player Me indoor avatars, as we've discussed previously, and they've got customizable outdoor avatars. I think obviously customization in all of its forms is going to be important in these metaverses. So this is great to see. We're just seeing the build out in the early days. This is like the fun early era of metaverses in general, including Cardano metaverses. So it's really fun. I think years from now, we'll sort of remember, like, you remember when Cardistation, when the community hub first opened? That'll be like an interesting footnote in the history of Cardano metaverses years from now. But I'm excited to watch all this unfold. I hope you've had a great week. I hope you're going to have a great weekend. We're almost to the end of summer here. I know certain parts of North America have just suffered an incredible heat wave, which probably has something to do with the greenhouse gas emissions that the White House was talking about in the memo at the start of this video. But we've definitely just had a gigantic heat wave. And I know it's probably been a little bit too hot for a lot of people to get out and about, at least in North America. I hope the rest of the world has had much better weather. And I hope you're doing something fun this weekend. I'll talk to you soon.